Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So got to put together another odds and ends video for you guys this week. Going to do a couple different things. Number one, I got some viewer mail that came in. I want to share with you guys a couple of cool little items here. And second, give you a update on the shop construction. So we got some more things that have gone on this week. I know you guys are getting a lot of feedback from you, enjoying seeing that done. And I also got a list of questions about the shop that you guys are asking, or actually in some cases many of you are asking. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do a little question and answer with some of the common questions that have come up, and I maybe try to address them. Hopefully you guys will find that interesting. So let's get in it. So some of you guys that watch my channel a lot may remember these items. These actually are some clamps that were given to me back at the ARNFest event back this past September. And as we talked about before, they were missing the little pad here that clamps. There should be a little piece in here sort of like this. And one of my viewers, Rich Cizik, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, C-I-Z-I-K, but Rich had some very similar clamps to this and actually pulled the pad off and did a little rubber mold of it and made me some resin copies of these. And the idea is that I could use those for patterns to then cast some new pads for these clamps. So Rich, I greatly appreciate you doing that. It's definitely the right style. Unfortunately though, it looks like the ones that you have are a size larger than the ones I have. It's not an exact fit, but it's not at all a loss here. Now that I've got these as a pattern, I can get these drawn up in SolidWorks to a 3D model of them, scale them down to be the proper size for my clamps, and then we can 3D print some new pieces that can be used as patterns. So while we won't be able to use these actual pieces, they are going to be very handy for actually coming up with what we do need to make this part. So Rich, I greatly appreciate it. Again, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to use them like they are, but they're still going to be very handy. So thanks for helping me out on that. And this will be a project for down the road. Probably when we get our foundry furnace done, we can cast some new parts for this. Thanks, Rich. So next item here is a pretty cool little item. This comes from Asher Peltz, who is up in South Orange, New Jersey. And what this is actually a user-made indicator holder. It's very similar to like a layout tool, like you put a scribe in for using on a surface plate. Bottom's made very similar to that. Got a little fine adjust knob on here to adjust with it and so forth. But this one here, I do believe you got the pieces on here where you can clamp an indicator on and use this on the surface plate for doing some indicating. So I don't have one of these. This is pretty neat. It does have one little issue, and he told me about this, but this piece here, the threads on there are just stripped out. So we're going to probably have to remake this little part down here on the bottom, but no big deal at all. We can easily do that. Right now it just won't tighten up. And got a little bit of rust, but again, I think it'll clean up really well. We'll probably put that in some evapor rust or something and get that surface rust right off of there. But anyway, this will be a nice little tool to use on my surface plate with some indicators. You know, I could use just a regular indicator holder, mag base, but actually on a surface plate, I think this right here will work much better for doing some precision measurements, you know, like with a test indicator or something like that. So he did tell me, he sent me a little letter here, and he told me that this was made by a machinist from Orange, New Jersey named Peter McKinnon. He's guessing in the early 1980s. He thinks he's the third owner, which would make me the fourth owner, as I bought it from a machinist who was packing up and moving away. Anyway, there's a little bit of other things he put in here, but that's about all about this. Asher also sent along a couple of pictures of, one of them is of a vise that he restored. Let's see, this is a 1970s Wilton 1750 tradesman vise. And he'd say he didn't paint it pink, he painted it red. And then he also sent a picture of a DeWalt MBF radial arm saw that he restored. So he's doing some nice restorations, and anyway, he sent along some goodies, and this will definitely come in handy, and we'll probably have a future video on restoring this, cleaning it up, and making that new part. So maybe one day before too long, we can get that done and do a little video on that. I think that'd be cool. Thanks, Asher. So, shop project is coming along nice. As you can see back behind me here, we've made some more progress this week. The contractors got out here and basically finished getting the top rafters all the way down. They've come in and gotten the fascia boards started on there, and are starting to get the strips on to put the metal roofing. So last week again, it probably only got about 2.5 days worth of work. So we had some more rain come in that two really messy days, and they also had to spend one day working on another project somewhere else. So they actually worked on this about half a day in the rain. I couldn't believe they were out here doing it, but they're anxious to get it done and are working hard. And this coming week, I'm sure they'll be back out here on Monday morning to get going again. At least that was the plan when I talked to them on Friday. But the weatherman's right. We're going to have about 3 or 4 days of really nasty weather again later this week. So I don't know how much we'll get done, but we are making progress. The next real step, other than finishing getting the fascia board on the other side, there's I think on the top up on the Clerestory, they got one more. They got to put the fascia across the front and then finish up putting the strips on there for the tin. And then once that's done, they'll be ready to start putting the siding up around the outside. And I'm going with kind of a plywood type material that'll look like a board and batten material. And they'll put that up around. That'll be the next step. They want to put all the plywood on first because they're going to stain it. It's going to have a natural stain color. And they want to stain it before they put the metal roof on because they don't want to get the stain on the metal roof. But before they can do that, they've got to get the windows installed. And as of Friday morning, we were still waiting for the windows to come in. So hopefully those will get in here pretty quick and they can get started putting the siding on. And once the siding's on, the metal roof will go on. And then with a little bit more finish work, they'll pretty much have the building dried in. And once it's dried in, I will then go inside and start working on the inside. I'm going to do the electrical work myself. I used to work for an electrician many years ago, so I can do that work here legally. It has to be inspected, but I can do all the wiring and stuff myself, and that'll be starting up as soon as we get everything dried in. So anyway, I got a list of questions that you guys have been asking, so let's talk about those. One question I keep getting is, in the pictures you guys are seeing my pond out here, and you've been asking about my pond. So yes, there is a little pond here, but as you can see, it's a pretty small pond. The shadows are kind of messing us up here, but probably somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an acre. And yeah, I got some fish in there. There's some brim in there I know that we put in there. I'm going to get a couple of bass put in there, but it's just not very big. And one of the problems we have is when we have a dry summer, this thing will lose a lot of water. It's not very well built, and it doesn't recharge very well. So again, we have a drought year. It can go dry, and I think that's why it didn't have any fish when we moved out here. And previous owners told us it does go dry occasionally, and they just can't keep fish in it. So we got some in there now. We'll see how long they last. But yeah, there's a pond, but nothing to get too excited about. All right, so some more questions. Number one, the size of the shop. I've answered this before, but in case you didn't hear, we're 42 feet wide and we're 80 feet deep. So we got a good bit of room in here. So there's kind of the center section where we got the rough cut timbers, and I got basically 18 feet between those, and then 12 foot on each side, which gives me plenty of room on either side. I got the center aisle, kind of be the main working area, and then we'll have more machines and so forth in the side areas. Getting a lot of questions says, are you going to put a crane in here? Yeah, I'd have a nice place to put an overhead crane down the center. But quite honestly, I've decided not to do that, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, cost. It's extremely expensive. I actually priced getting the steel and stuff to put a bridge crane in here, and wow, it was expensive. But more importantly than that, if I were to put a bridge crane in here, it would really only allow me to have a crane down the center section. I couldn't really get it into the sides. And I do plan on having most of my machinery in the sides, and I would want to be able to lift and put stuff on machines and so forth. So instead of doing a overhead crane, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build a gantry crane that I can roll around in the shop, and I'm going to build one that I can extend the height depending on what part of the shop I'm in, so I can use it pretty much anywhere in the shop I want to, and just push it out of the way when it's not in use. I think that will actually work better for me. Yeah, it'd be really nice to have an overhead crane, but you know, the other thing is if I just put a I-beam down the center, I can only use it down the center. With a gantry crane, I can use it anywhere I want to. So anyway, that's kind of my plan there. Questions about the Clerestory in here, the Clerestory, the top section up top, and they asked me if I'm going to close that in and put storage up there, put an office up there or whatever. And again, no, I'm actually planning on leaving it all open. I really like the idea of having that open space up above, and it does two things for me. Number one, I want to have windows down each side. The building roughly runs east and west, so I shouldn't get a lot of direct sunlight coming in those windows, but I should get some good filtered light coming in there, which will provide some excellent natural lighting inside the building. And then also the height. In the summertime, I'm in South Georgia, it gets extremely hot down here. And one of the old tricks from many years ago in houses and stuff, they put high ceilings in them because heat rises and it helps keep things cool. So having that high ceiling in here will hopefully give that heat a place to move up and hopefully kind of help me keep things cool in here in the summertime. I'm much more worried about keeping this building cool than I am heating it. Again, I live in South Georgia. Our winters down here are generally pretty mild, although we've had some fairly cold weather the past few days. For us, lows in the upper 20s, low 30s, that's cold for us. But it's really not that big of a deal, so the heat isn't. So there's really very few days that I would need to run heat, but there are many days in the summertime that it just gets too hot to work out here. So really not too concerned with heat. As far as another question that keeps coming up is heating and cooling. Right now I have no immediate plans to do anything about heating and cooling. Eventually, down the road one day, I would love to put some type of air conditioning in here, and I'm looking at some options there. You know, we could do something as simple as putting in a couple of window units in the windows that I've got on the lower level on the south side of the building. And actually that was kind of one thought. I could put in a portable air conditioning unit, or even put in a full-blown you know, central heat and air in here. We'll see. And again, that's going to be down the road. One thing in general about the shop, right now my goal is just to get it dried in and get in here and get the electrical work done. And then the finish off on the inside is going to take place over a period of time as my time and budget allows for me to do that. It's not going to be a turnkey. They're not going to do any finish work, or they may help me do a few things, the contractors. I can call them out and ask them to come in and do something for me, but a lot of that's going to be pay as I go, and because of that, it's not all going to happen up front. All right, what else have we got in here? Let's see, I'll cover that in a minute. Bathroom. Yeah, everybody said you can put a bathroom in there. You need a toilet out in the shop. Again, probably not from the start. My guys, when they were doing the concrete work, they did convince me to put some plumbing in the slab that I can tap into later on if I decide to do that. And I probably will decide to do that. But again, for right now, I'm only, you know, maybe 40 yards from the house. So yeah, not very convenient, but I can run up there if I need to. Or we got plenty of trees around here too. You know, this is the South, we have trees, so you can always use a tree out here around the shop. Power. I've had questions. Did you put utilities in the slab? Didn't put anything in the slab, other than, again, just basically minimal plumbing, and that's just basically on the one of the walls over here. And again, I probably won't even tap into that for quite some time. Did not put any conduit in the slab. Did not put any dust collection in the slab. I know a lot of people do that. I decided I'm going to go overhead with all my utilities and so forth in the slab or in the building, and mainly because I've got an idea where I want to put my machinery when I get in here, but I'm also smart enough to know that I'm going to probably rearrange it 100 times. And as I get new pieces of equipment, the shop's going to get rearranged. So I didn't really think it was very smart to put something permanent into the foundation or into the slab where I had to have that, because I'm going to probably, once I get in here and start using it, kind of figure out what works for me. And, you know, electrical in the slab might be nice. Well, we got plenty of places to put electrical around the outside, so I'm not too worried about that. Outside, somebody was asking, are you going to have overhead power coming into the building? No, we're all underground here, so they'll run underground cables down to the building. I don't have any overhead, really, even on the road out here in front of my house. It's all underground, so no big deal. Three-phase. Am I going to be able to bring three-phase into power into the building? A lot of my machinery, most of my machinery is three-phase. But unfortunately, where I live, all I have on the street is single phase, so we're not really going to bring three-phase in. It would cost me a lot of money to bring it in from the line. So I do have a rotary phase converter that I use currently in my smaller shop, and we'll be putting that in here. I will probably be going ahead and wiring the shop for three-phase. Again, probably not to start with, but as we move forward, so that I can use it anywhere. But we'll basically be generating our own three-phase off of a rotary phase converter. So that's kind of the plans there. Office space. People ask me about, am I going to put an office in the shop? I'll probably put a desk out here that I will use some. I may even have a computer that I take out here. But I've got an office in my house. I actually work from home. So I've got a nice place set up in the house, and I'll probably just mainly use that as my main office. But I will have at least a desk or something out here. But I'm not going to have, you know, wall in a certain area for office space. Down the road, again, I would love to maybe put a little extension, a little wing off the side, and put me a nice dedicated office that I can put out here. But again, that's not going to be anytime soon. Air compressor, dust collection. Are you going to put it inside or outside? Again, I'm going to probably come in and put a little side shed down the side, and I'll probably try to put that outside the shop just to keep down on noise. I may even build a little area out there to put that in, but I'm going to put it outside. What else have we got on here? I think that's pretty much most of the questions that I can remember you guys asking. So, but anyway, hopefully that'll kind of give you a little bit better idea of how we're going to utilize this space and how we're going to do some things down the road. And you know, the weather will hold out. We're getting real close to having this thing dried in. If they could work a solid week, I think we'd have it done by the end of this coming week. But just looking at the weather forecast, I don't think that's going to happen. That's just the reality that I'm dealing with right now. But we're making progress slowly but surely. So thanks for watching, and we'll give you another update on the shop as things happen.